Hello. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the studio. It's Frank, about one octave lower. Working through a little something right now, but the show must go on. And here we are at 7 o'clock on a Thursday evening. It's the last show, second to last show of the old year before we ring in the new year. So I'm really excited to have you all with me, and I'm even more excited to introduce my guests for the evening, which is a little bit of a treat. A treat, I must say, because to my left is Matt. Oh! Hello, Matt.
Hello, Francis.
I'm sorry, it's not Matt, it's...
You can refer to me as Your Excellency if you would like.
Your Excellency Washington.
Yes.
So, Matt is...
I.
Mr. General Washington is here tonight. And across the room is Jay Gulinello. Jay, you're here to fulfill a very solemn task in performing a post-mortem on Father Washington.
Yeah, being introduced after George Washington is it's a tough act to follow.
It's a very tough act to follow.
But I'll do what I can.
Only Jesus can pull it off, but give it your best.
That's right. And I
shall.
I see that Mr. Washington is partaking in some of his finest hemp.
A little hemp, yes.
Yes, okay.
It's Benjamin gave it to me.
Mr. Benjamin.
Mr. Franklin.
Mr. Franklin. Benjamin Franklin. Well, this is great. Now, Jay Gulinello, of course, at Perpetual Health. His link is in the description of the chat. His Rumble link, because that's been doing very, very well. And tonight on this Thursday, we are going to, as the title says, perform not necessarily an autopsy on George Washington, but a post-mortem. Autopsy just sounded a lot funnier. And this is, back in early December or late November when Jay was on here around Thanksgiving time, you had mentioned, Jay, that you had read the literature of everything, all the medical journals that had been recorded at the time of Washington's death. So what do you have for us tonight?
So this is a very interesting, essentially it's a case report. And I found it years ago in a medical journal, and then I found a PDF that I could download, so I printed it out and I saved it sort of forever, and I never knew what I was really going to do with it. And then it just dawned on me one day that you read through Washington's writings, and you're such huge fans of his for good reason, and I thought it would be really fun to do this on the actual anniversary of his death, which was December 14th. So that was the original plan, but we're still only
2 weeks.
2 weeks away from, or 2 weeks post that. So yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting. So I'll get into it and I'll give a little preamble, but these are the detailed notes of his secretary. So this is sort of a minute by minute, blow by blow, exactly down to the gory details of what happened in the final 48 hours of a man who was only 67 years old.
Yeah, you're right. And Matt, I'm sorry, Mr. Washington.
We should clear that up. Is that how you would like to be referred to?
I guess as long as the hairpiece is on, yes.
I mean, I'm just narrating, so don't even pretend I'm not in the room, sir.
Well,
what?
You're
God?
There's a couple of people in the chat room who have said that I didn't know that we had a cat president. I didn't know that George Washington was a cat.
He was a lion.
He was a lion. That's right. See? In the cat family, the feline family. All right. So, here's what we're going to be doing. We're just going to open up the way we usually do. I just want to say welcome, everybody. Tonight is going to be a lot of fun. Tomorrow we're going to be doing all of our prediction shows. Matt said he may stop by for that too. You never know. But one way or another, we're going to be taking a lot of calls from you and writing down your predictions. Now, I want to just remind you again what to prepare for tomorrow, because it's not about, okay, let's take 75 calls of which way you think the election is going to go. I want to know about whether or not Yellowstone is going to explode. I want to know. You have to give us predictions of things that people aren't thinking about, but you see as clear as day. You see it coming, and then we'll know what we can compare, what notes we can compare going down the line. That'll be something else. But I also like to say, since last night, The Subscribe Star went from the Subscribe Star network funding goal went from 28.4% to 30.5%. So, like I said, for all you out there who would like to see the show expand back out 2 hours across all platforms one day, then we have to hit at least 85%. That's something I've been striving for a while, but since people have been responding to that slowly but surely, we can get it done, because it only would take 0.8% of this audience to become a $5 a month sponsor or something like that. So consider it, because we are tallying that on Subscribestar in particular. That's for you new sponsors, not for the oldies. The oldies, that's the lifeblood and the foundation upon which we've already done so much. We want to bring in a new generation of support for a very, very bold 2024. That's what we want to be in 2024. Bold, out with the old, and in with the new. Okay, so here's what we got going on over on the grab bag. Did you hear about this, guys? The Tom Smothers of the Smothers Brothers died. Oh. Now, I have a Smothers Brothers documentary I'm going to air on the After Hours sometime soon, maybe next week or whatever. Planning it all out, because this Sunday is going to be a little beefed up with New Year's Eve and all that. But this was I was introduced to the Smothers Brothers very young from my parents, and it's just one of those things. They were very, very controversial. For as innocent as they delivered their material, very, very controversial. They hit a lot of chords, they struck a lot of chords, and they pissed a lot of important people off, and that was something to behold, especially for those of you who are around to see it happen in real time. So I know about them because of my parents, and I can't wait to air that Smothers Brothers documentary soon on QuiteFrankly.tv. Did you guys have any experience around their stuff?
Not really, but can you summarize the controversy? I wasn't even remotely aware of that.
Well, they just had a very almost like Boy Scoutish way of talking about social issues and being critical of wars and what's going on inside. Yeah, like
interesting.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay.
So they were beloved by audiences, but they stepped on a lot of toes and in a really cool way. So
boy, we could use that today, huh?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, okay, now here's another little thing I want to see. If I'm so happy to realize that I'm not the only one who does this. I was on Instagram the other day, and I saw this image flash by me on my dash. And here's the woman saying, "I wonder if he's thinking about me." And there's a guy going for a jog saying, "I need to reach that tree before that car or I'll die." Do you guys do that?
Sometimes. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I do stuff like that.
Dude, I was so happy to see this, because I've been haunting myself for years, giving myself, because the stakes keep getting higher and higher. If I don't get to that telephone pole before that other car does, a death. And then we're to the point where I realize that I'm playing such a horrible game that I say, no, just kidding. And I actually had to audibly say, just kidding.
Wow. Is this when you're out for a run or when you're driving or anytime?
Driving, walking.
Really?
I make these ridiculous games up in my head.
Huh.
You don't do this?
No.
Maybe this has a lot to do with the inner monologue stuff.
Working out, yes. Like running or something like that, but never in a car or in any other scenario that I can think of. That's interesting.
Yeah. Like if the back tires don't get past the pole before the other, it doesn't count. And
no. I can't.
Well, there you go. I blame all my successes and failures to those games.
But that's okay. That's good.
Anyway,
you take the good with the bad.
If anybody else has any experience with that, please call in later on. All right, here's another one. Matt, did you hear about this Grand Theft Auto 6?
What?
There was a hacker who leaked some stuff about it. Did you guys hear about this?
Oh, I did hear that.
What did he leak? I heard something about it that's kind of fucked up.
The Rockstar Games hacker responsible for the September 2022 leaks, I didn't even know that happened, Grand Theft Auto 6, has been sentenced in the UK. Aryan Kurtaj, the 18-year-old Lapus member, I don't know what that is.
Where is he from?
I don't know. Kurtaj, that sounds like Albanian.
Sounds French.
With the J at the end, that sounds Albanian.
Well, I'm just making a joke because France is no longer France.
Because France is no longer France.
That went over our heads, General.
I am sorry, General.
Very dry sense of humor.
Let's see here. Although you chose to stay out of the war to assist France. Or,
Too many losses.
yes, it would have been too bad. Thank you for maintaining your neutrality for the short amount of time that we were neutral in the world.
I don't give a shit about these other fucking countries, bro.
Bro.
Wow,
I'm not your brother.
Mr. Washington. Wow. Okay.
You kiss Martha with that mouth?
Oh my gosh. So anyway, this 18-year-old behind the hacks of Rockstar Games, Uber, and Nvidia was just sentenced to an indefinite hospital order, according to the BBC. Indefinite hospital order. His sentence is based on a number of factors. The young hacker has autism, number one. He said that he wanted to continue committing cyber crimes and was reportedly being violent while in custody. The court ultimately decided that he would remain at a secured hospital for life unless doctors deem him no longer a danger.
Jeez.
How did he get the gig in the first place?
I don't know.
Wow, that's interesting.
What did you hear messed up about it, Matt? I mean, Your Excellency.
There's schools in this game.
School. Oh.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
You can kill children?
That's what. Yeah, I heard there's schools in there.
Is that a rumor or is that confirmed?
I mean, it is a rumor I heard. I said I heard something, so that was one of the things I heard.
That's grotesque.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I don't see how they would go that far. I don't see how they would go that far. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But there's
I
also
heard you can get sued for that, I heard.
there's also
Why not?
Into oblivion.
I mean, why not?
You seen that? Like, if you get arrested for stealing a car or whatever, it's not like it doesn't go like
I heard.
you do prison time.
I heard that it's a little bit more like George Soros DA rules. That's just one of those things. Now here's another one for you. You guys let me know if you ever done anything like this when you were young. North Carolina toddler opens entire family's Christmas presents at 3 a.m. A couple woke up on Christmas morning to their 3-year-old loudly requesting a pair of scissors to open a gift he unwrapped in the middle of the night. The North Carolina couple woke up on Christmas morning to what they described as a terrifying scene, their 3-year-old loudly requesting a pair of scissors. Scott and Katie's Rentgens toddler secured an early preview to Christmas by waking up at 3 a.m. to unwrap his entire family's presents. He found out he had found his Spider-Man web shooters, so he wanted scissors to cut them out.
Reasonable.
I know, it is reasonable. Look at this. Look at this
Frank,
scene.
how does a story like this make NBC News?
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it happens. I'm sure it probably happens a lot. How does it make NBC News?
There had to have been a local affiliate that kicked it up, and they probably have. I don't know how it all works, but there must be some sort of a holiday. When it comes to seasonal events and things like that, there must be some sort of a quota where there is a word put out to local affiliates. Get us some really fun holiday stories so that we can nationalize it. It has to be.
Yeah. I mean, because otherwise it makes no sense.
Right.
With everything going on in the world, this is what. Yeah.
I know. Let's see what else here. They have 3 children, 6, 3, and 1, and the 3-year-old literally unwrapped everything. He got everything done. They call him the midnight perpetrator. They do. So good for them.
Yeah.
It's a Christmas tragedy we all could handle.
Yes, we could. I think.
I can put up with that kind of a tragedy.
Not the end of the world.
My gosh. All right. Well, listen. Let's just get this one started. Oh, wait, Matt. I thought that you would like this video. I don't know what the hell the context is over here, but he reminds me of the guy who was raped by Bigfoot. He reminds me of that guy. So hold on. Take a listen to this.
Okay, folks, I'm David from Mall Security. 2 gorillas went into the store here and they devoured all the bananas. Then they started eating all the sour cream with Doritos. I confronted one of them and he threw the sour cream in my face. Just be aware of your surroundings.
Wow.
I love how he got louder and louder. And he's running through a mall.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Well, the malls are just deserted nowadays. Have you been in a mall recently?
What is a mall?
I know. I was there last Christmas and I noted just a couple of days before Christmas, and I remember thinking, this is not. I used to work in a mall. Nothing like that.
Yeah.
It was yeah.
What
so
is
scary.
a mall? I
Liminal
never
space now.
Where did you used to work?
I was in Boston.
Okay, but what kind of department?
Oh, I worked at Verizon Wireless, so it was one of the stores inside the mall.
Right.
So
right. So you didn't work at like a Spencer's Gifts?
No.
Yeah. I used to love. Matt, did you ever work inside of a mall? Did you work at like a Cinnabon or something like that?
No, I never.
That was right
worked at a
below me
mall.
in the smell all day long.
I love it.
That's
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
You know what I really love about Cinnabon now? I haven't had one since watching the end of Better Call Saul. But you know how? Did you watch that?
No.
Okay.
I watched Breaking Bad, but I didn't.
Did you watch it?
Nah.
Oh, Jay, I think you would appreciate Better Call Saul even more than Breaking Bad.
Really?
It's the same kind of feeling. It's the same kind of suspense after a while there too.
Okay.
Fantastic character writing, but it's so much more cerebral.
Oh, all right.
And you already know how cerebral the other one is.
Right.
there,
That's
too.
what I mean. Yeah.
But this is, I think you would really enjoy it. Anyway, when this doesn't ruin anything, but Saul, he is out in, he's in hiding, and he works under an assumed identity at a Cinnabon. So every once in a while, there's a scene where there's just like these really gooey cinnamon buns there, and it's just great.
Yeah.
But I haven't had one since. I know that you haven't probably had a cinnamon bun since 1978.
I don't even. Yeah, I'm pretty close to then. It was right next to an Auntie Annie's pretzels too. They were right next to each other.
That's the best.
That smell was unbelievable.
Oh, I forgot about Auntie Annie's.
Yeah.
What about you, Matt? You like those soft pretzels? I mean, Your Excellency.
Yeah, I like them a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
On that note.
on that note, we're going to take a little bit of a break, and when we come back, we are going to we're going to hang out with you, and we're going to do some really big historical deep dives on a day that. Well, we'll talk about that in just a second. Don't go anywhere, and help me share the show out far and wide. We will be right back.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's ride!
Yes. Welcome. It is a winter cafe. It is the week before New Year's, the week in between New Year's and Christmas, and I'm very happy to have some friends in studio. And we're jumping a little bit into the deep end on history tonight, on founding history, which is a little bit related to what's going on in the most retarded corners of the internet today. On Twitter, everybody, of course, the Civil War has popped up again. And every mongrel who pretends to be a teacher or anything like that has been making a rollicking ass of themselves. The Civil War, slavery, these simplistic reductions on everything, and of course everybody, Republican, Democrat alike, using the same reductionist versions of history to try to dunk on each other and keep it to one party versus the other nonsense. I'm really trying to get Brian McClanahan to come back on the show again and do another big war between the states deep dive. We've done Juneteenth, we've done Abraham Lincoln in particular, But I want to talk about motivations and origins, and because it is just like you will only get dumber. You will only get dumber if you are on Twitter on days like today. And there's nothing really going on anywhere else. You notice that Jay, Matt, there's really no news. There's nothing.
What sparked this?
I think that idiot Nikki Haley.
Oh, okay.
I think Nikki Haley was at a campaign stop or something, and she did not answer a Civil War question, or she made an what everybody believes to be an inadequate Civil War response that doesn't very forcefully sum up the Civil War as a battle over slavery, which of course is not the case.
Right.
It's not. There is a theme, a slavery theme that runs through it all. That is not the chief motivating factor. Secession, the question of secession, is the motivating factor. Hell. Well, anyway, I'd like to get into that some other time, because we are going 75 years. Well, less than 75 years, but 75 years before the Civil War was our founding.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there is nothing that we can say about our founding without talking about His Excellency, George Washington. Now, tonight, unfortunately, we want to talk about George Washington's demise, which, Jay has some very interesting literature over here. So I would like it for Mr. Washington to please go to his. Oh, what's going on with your microphone?
Well.
Wait.
We have another one over there.
Wait, Matt, say something.
I'll proceed to my deathbed.
Okay, there you go. For some reason,
the mic died before he did.
I know. Okay, so, Mr. Washington, that microphone on the couch is for you. So you can just hold it.
Oh, yes. Yes, Your Excellency.
That was very, very nice. Oh, thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you. He is full of class. He is full of class. We can't.
Well, it would be rude to have your shoes on your deathbed.
Well, that would be one of those George Washington etiquette things. Never put your shoes
upon your deathbed.
Upon your deathbed. Very, very. All right, so Mr. Washington, that microphone is yours. You want to give us a little check?
I feel a little ill.
Oh, no.
He's taken ill.
It's already begun.
All right. Well, now, Jay, where do you want to go with this?
So this came. So I just want to let everybody know, if you want to look it up, this came from the Yale Journal of Biology and Medicine. That's where it was published. That's where I found the PDF years ago. And so I'll give you just a tiny little bit of a preamble, and then we'll just work our way through the entire series of events in a chronological order.
Okay, sounds good.
And of course, it's going to be a reenactment, which I have a lot of experience with in my former life, and so we'll see if Matt can live up to the expectations of playing the general.
Oh yes, as we know that Matt is a whatchamacallit, oh man,
I love George Washington.
A method actor.
Oh yes,
he's a method actor. So this is not Matt now. This is George Washington.
He actually walked in this way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do we start on all this? When did George Washington first experience his initial sniffle?
Okay. So this is the record of the last illness and death of George Washington. This is compiled from all of the available data and set down in the form of a present-day clinical report. Many of the facts are gathered from the careful and minute entries of the diary of Colonel Tobias Lear, who was Washington's faithful secretary.
Okay. Do you have any fond memories of Colonel Tobias, Mr. Washington?
He's a great man, great penmanship.
Good. Otherwise, we wouldn't know anything without that penmanship.
I know.
Okay. So a little background. George Washington, white male farmer, married, no children. Age 67 years, 10 months. First seen at 4 a.m. on December 14th, complaining of difficulty in breathing, swallowing, and aphonia, which is loss of voice, soreness, and pain in the neck.
Oh man! So now, Jay, soreness, pain in the neck, loss of voice, all of that. Is that swollen glands? What is that?
Well, that's the thing. It could be anything, and there was actually no record of a throat examination.
Okay.
So it's not really surprising that, as we'll go through this, you'll see that he sort of wrote this off. And when I give you his medical history, you'll also realize he wrote all of this off until it was essentially too late.
Okay, and I just want to say, somebody in the Twitch chat just said, if Matt is a method actor, then when George dies, he needs to urinate himself.
Let's see how far this goes.
Okay.
It was very interesting in the screen how I'm positioned on top of George.
It's like you're hovering over him like an angel.
Okay, family history. Quick family history. Father died at age 49 of pneumonia.
Wow.
Mother died. No record there. Remainder of family history is vague and irrelevant. I thought that was kind of rude, but vague and irrelevant remainder of the family history. Past history of the patient. Okay. Patient has led a vigorous and rugged outdoor life. Has had smallpox, dysentery, malaria, and pneumonia. After the age of 50, had carious teeth, and that necessitated complete removal. Eyesight failed early, and there is some evidence of recurrent attacks of iritis, which is just inflammation of the iris.
Oh, my.
So, George had a lot going on when you think about all he accomplished.
Well, I led a revolution.
Yes, I know.
All with inflamed eyes.
I know.
Yeah. Okay.
There was fury in my eyes.
It was the fury that he actually didn't have. The eyes didn't work. He was actually blind. It was just that he only saw through fury.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move into the present illness, okay?
Yes.
The present illness dates from December 12th, when the patient was, as his custom, rode about his farm from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The day was inclement with rain, snow, and sleet, about 30 degrees, and 3 inches of snow in the morning. When he came in, he noticed that his clothes were wet and snow was hanging from his hair. It being late, he went to dinner without changing his clothes. So this is where I just want to stop for a second.
That is not like Mr. Washington.
Okay, so thank you. Because as I'm thinking about you guys reading the rules of civility, does it seem like George Washington that he would think it would be more of a gentlemanly thing to do to go change and then come late to dinner, or to sit down dripping wet?
I was running behind, and I had to be there on time before the set of the sun.
Ah.
Okay, so when it comes down to being late for dinner or wearing soiled clothes, you should never be late.
I feel like that's in the book somewhere, right?
I don't. It has to be in there. But you are right. That's very uncharacteristic of George to not be presented in an adequate fashion, in a decent way.
It's one of the first things I thought when I read it.
Yes.
So it's very, very unusual.
Okay.
So with icicles hanging from his hair, he sat down and ate dinner. He retired early, but he rested well.
He's sleeping.
Okay, good. Shh. The next morning, December 13th, he complained of a sore throat, but did go outdoors, marking trees that had to be taken down on the property. Is your throat okay, sir?
It's a little scratchy,
Okay.
but I will continue my duties.
Mark those
on
trees.
Mount Vernon.
When he came in, he was quite hoarse, but otherwise normal. He read the paper, and when he found something of interest, he decided to read aloud to his family. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
He would read the paper, and then when he would randomly find things that he found interesting, he would just randomly read them out loud.
Right.
Maybe
Right.
to Martha, Tobias, anybody else that was around the house?
Look, Martha, it's my favorite joke.
My favorite comic.
Now, Mr. Washington, what was your favorite section of the newspaper?
The obituary.
Why the obituaries?
Need to know whom to pay respects to.
Oh, see, it's not to gloat; it's only to pay respects.
Always gentlemanly.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. It was suggested, so remember, he's coming in and he's very hoarse. It was suggested that he take something for his cold, but he replied, and I quote, "No. You know," hold on, not yet. "No, you know I never take anything for a cold. Let it go as it came."
Oh, say it.
I never take anything for a cold. Let it go as it came.
There you go.
Wow.
Leave.
This is very, very riveting. The fact that it's real is
I know,
you
it's-
got to keep reminding ourselves
Yes,
this is real.
actual historical record. He retired early. At 3 a.m. on December 14th, he awoke with a chill and informed his wife that he had the ague.
A goo.
Now, to him, that would have meant something like malaria, but really that's just any kind of febrile illness. So he awoke at about 3 a.m. and he told Martha, Martha, I have the ague.
Oh, say
What,
that.
what would that sound like, sir?
Martha, I have the ague.
Then what? So now this, what kind of treatment did this require?
Well, he could hardly speak, and breathing was difficult. While attempting to swallow a mixture of molasses, vinegar, and butter, he was convulsive and almost suffocated. Oh dear.
Oh no. Your Excellency, please.
Hold on. It's not your time, sir.
You come back. Come back. Martha, calm him down.
A pint of blood was let.
From what? From where? Did they slice his neck?
They didn't know. They didn't say. I'm going to say an extremity, probably the arm. That's what. Usually, that's what they would do.
Oh my gosh. A whole pint.
A whole pint. So we're gonna get to this in a moment. This is insane. And so along with the bloodletting, sal volatile, also known as ammonia carbonate, ammonia inhalants, spirits of hartshorn, or as we would know it today, smelling salts.
Wow.
So they let a pint of blood, and I just wanted to give you guys that. It was just written as sal volatile, but I had to go look up what that was because I'd never heard that term before, but it was smelling salts. And they gently rubbed that on his throat. But the patient complained that the pressure of the rubbing actually hurt him, and it was discontinued.
I can't imagine having rubbing salts applied to your skin just underneath your jaw, that you constantly get hit with waves of that stuff.
And he was, and remember, we're going to get to this at the end, but essentially he's got inflammation of the epiglottis, so his throat is extremely swollen.
Jeez.
And so just a note on the blood, Frank, I want to give a little shout out to Nurse Jen. Her and I went over this because some of these, I had to pick her brain a little bit because this is not in my line. This is what she does. You know, she does trauma care. But as we were going over this, the incredible amount of blood that was let, we wanted to turn it into a drinking game about how many times they say, oh, let's just let a little bit more blood. Over the course of this illness, I just want people to realize this.
You have to know that the actor, the actor is deathly afraid of bloodletting and anything that has to do with extracting your blood. So I can already see him becoming more uncomfortable.
He would have had a very tough time with this because over the course of this 24 to 48 hour period, Frank, 82 ounces or 5 pounds of blood, half of the human body's worth of blood, was drained from George Washington.
They took out half of his blood?
Half of his blood.
I gave them permission. That's the only way they were going to get it.
Oh my gosh.
It's unbelievable. And by the way, just so we'll get to the end of this, but there's no known, I mean, this was what was practiced at the time. It was what was taught at the Edinburgh School of Medicine, where these two physicians that we'll get to, where they went to school. But I mean, I've never seen a drop of evidence that this is actually effective. So it's not their fault that it's incredibly archaic, but it likely actually contributed to his demise.
I have to imagine when you lose half your blood like that.
And you're fighting an infection.
Right.
Yeah, not good. Okay. So instead of rubbing on his neck, they took a piece of flannel and they soaked it in the sal volatile, in the smelling salts, and they bound it around his neck.
Oh my God.
We should have gotten you a handkerchief, sir.
Yes.
That's okay, though.
It's all right. 'Tis well.
Our prop department is on vacation. Okay.
Again, to have a soaked piece of cloth with that stuff, that'll split your head right open. My God, he must have been tortured.
Yeah. Okay, so shortly after 4 a.m., the patient was finally seen by a physician, Dr. Craik, C-R-A-I-K, who found him sitting up, bathing his feet in hot water.
Oh, excuse me. I can't believe that he had the strength to do something
It's
like
amazing. Sir, is everything okay? Is there anything I can get for you? Just want to continue bathing your feet?
I believe to have the ague.
Oh, Martha.
Martha?
I have the ague. Okay, so bathing in hot water. Changing positions from lying down to sitting up had not relieved his dyspnea, which is just shortness of breath.
Oh, man, I have to imagine at this point he might be thinking, I think I'm screwed.
Yeah. So he was actually put back into bed.
That's right. This is incredible. You can't get things like this even.
This is one of the most
Oh, and he
accurate.
bowed. he bowed in both directions once again
Ever the gentleman.
to honor all of the crew working on him.
This is one of the most accurate depictions of history ever taken up by an independent media channel. I just want you all to know that you are witnessing history. So at this time, the patient was feverish, breathing with difficulty, face flushed, pulse rapid, but mentally alert. That was Frank, not George.
Yeah, it's me.
Chest examination negative, and there is no record of the examination of the throat, which I find to be interesting, that they wouldn't examine the throat. And that's essentially where he was complaining that all of his problems were coming from. He was having difficulty swallowing.
We're already on December 14th.
Yes,
So
early in the morning, 3 a.m.
The length of time that he was sick up until the point he died was only 3 days.
Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, he actually... I'm trying to see when the original... Yeah, December 12th. He went out in the morning and he came back sick. So it was only earlier that morning, the 12th, and now... Oh, no, you're right. Now we're on the 14th at about 3 a.m.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, 3 days to take out George Washington. So where we are now.
Okay. So, Dr. Craik applied something called blister of cantharides. Cantharidin is all these asides are things that I had to go look up and figure out what they were, because again, this is terminology, medical terminology from 1799. So cantharidin is a substance derived from the blister beetle. The Chinese used this in ancient medicine for thousands of years for a number of maladies. So they applied this blister of cantharides to the neck. They took more blood, because why wouldn't you?
So now we're over half of his blood is gone.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh no. We haven't gotten to the half point yet. We're still. This is probably a second pint. And prescribed a gargle of vinegar and sage tea. Sir, do you like sage tea? In trying to gargle, he's ahead of me. In trying to gargle, the patient gagged severely.
Oh, sorry, George.
Sir, George.
Please.
Was it the tea or was it the Beatles?
It's probably the Beatles.
Yeah. He also became cyanotic, so now his fingertips likely and his lips are turning blue because of lack of oxygen. So he's not able to actually.
So he's getting choked out.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So inhalation of vinegar and hot water was given instead of the gargling. So essentially, they must have just heated up some water and put vinegar in it and allowed him to try to breathe in the vapors. And of course, more blood was let. And, surprise, surprise, swallowing became even more difficult.
Because he has no energy.
Right.
He has no blood.
Quite literally, no blood.
Wow.
Okay, now finally, Dr. Craik thinks he's in over his head, and he requests a consult. So a consultation was sought, and Dr. Gustavus R. Brown of Port Tobacco and Dr. Elijah Dick of Alexandria visited the patient. Anybody want to guess what they advised?
More bloodletting.
Yes, sir.
They really did?
They did.
They brought in 2 more consults.
Yes.
They come in and all they can offer.
I know. More bloodletting.
You didn't take enough blood.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know what we haven't tried yet. More bloodletting. And here's the note in quotation marks. And it was noted by the physicians that the blood came slow and thick.
Oh, because he has nothing left.
Exactly.
Listen here. This is.
Pause for commentary.
This is. There's no. I don't know how many people who've actually read these 3 pages, other than you. But anybody who
and
reads
Nurse Jenny.
This is obviously the first time I've ever hearing this stuff.
Yeah.
I grew up my entire life saying, "Oh well, George Washington died of pneumonia," and obviously it's 1799, and the options that you have to fighting an infection like that pale in comparison to what we have today.
Sure.
That's obvious.
Yeah.
But when I'm listening to this, how much better off would he have been if they just, at the very least, did not take all of his blood? This is crazy.
Do no harm? Yeah, so this is great. And I want you to save that thought. And I want the audience to save that thought to the end when I go through the actual differential and explain what modern day doctors went back and tried to reanalyze the situation and what could have been done differently. And they were very fair to the physicians because they were hamstrung by knowledge,
right?
But and I said this to you offline, I think it's very timely in today's medical environment that doctors are also afraid to try things because of what will be thought of them if the results don't bear fruit. So I want people to keep that in mind as we go through this, because it is easy to armchair quarterback, but as you're saying, there's also an obviousness of the situation as well.
Yes. Yes.
So we want to straddle that line,
yes.
right? Yeah.
I know that they have far less information and resources as we have in modern day, but at the same time, there are some things that are just like, dude, keep his blood inside of him.
Right.
All right.
Let's start there. Right. Yeah. Okay. So the blood came slow and thick. Okay. Now this gets even better. So now we're probably at about the end of, half of his blood is gone. Late in the afternoon, a full dose of calomel and a tartar emetic. So I had to look all of these up. Calomel is also known as mercurous chloride. It's a mercury derivative.
They put mercury in them.
During the 19th century, calomel was used to treat numerous illnesses like mumps, typhoid fever, and others, especially those of the GI tract and things like constipation, dysentery, and vomiting. So they use that. And a tartar emetic is also known as antimony potassium tartrate, and this is used to induce vomiting. But antimony is a poisonous element that's properties mimic arsenic.
Oh my gosh.
So they gave him a derivative of mercury and arsenic, and something that behaved with the toxicity of arsenic, along with having him lose half of his blood. Now, in the end, this man, I think, essentially was fighting an infection. So all of these things, while they were standard of care, I want you to think of that term. This was standard of care. What does that word mean? I mean, again, even just the common sense aspect of it. But again, it's 1799, so I'm going to try not to just bash these physicians, because it's really hard to put yourself in that position.
Right.
They're also dealing with likely the most famous person on planet Earth at that time.
Right, and I'm trying. And I have to amazing. There's already been a couple of people in the chat room who have said that this was the CIA of yesterday.
I know. I was going to say, what are the political affiliations of these physicians?
CIA of yesteryear.
Yeah. Seriously.
But
where's the Zapruder? This is. I'm reading you to the account of the Zapruder film of 1799.
Nobody has read this.
No, probably not.
No.
Okay. So. Let me just see. I lost my place here. Oh, so shortness of breath increased after, of course, now he's got half of his blood is gone. He's been poisoned with an arsenic and a mercury mimetic.
Now, how that happened? They inject it? Do they have injectables back then?
No, I don't believe so. I believe he took it orally.
So he was actually able to swallow it.
I believe. It actually doesn't say that in here. I'll have to look that up. Yeah, I'm not sure.
How did they put it in you, sir?
Yeah. How would you best guess, sir?
They put it in my anus.
Oh. Well, I mean, that would get into circulation very quickly.
Did they soak a tampon in
it? What is this?
It's a ball of cotton.
That's it.
Apply to the throat. Let's see. Okay. All right, sir. We have a little bit more method acting for you now.
Okay, we go. We're coming up on the end.
So shortness of breath increased at 8 o'clock p.m. Another blister was applied to the throat, and hot wheat plasters to the legs and feet. So hot wheat plasters were essentially, you could think of like if you go into the drugstore and get those pain-relieving heat pads, that's what they would be. So this was in order just to relieve discomfort. So they applied this to his feet. And at this point, the patient sat up for a time.
Oh.
And this is scary. And in full realization of his approaching end, gave his attention to various property matters and to correcting his will.
Pardon me.
So he knew he knew the end was near. He had been given mercury, antimony, which is like arsenic. Half of his blood is gone. Oh, he's writing.
Yes, he's writing out his will.
Oh, he updated his will. Oh, thank you, sir. I hope you left a little something for the narrator over here.
I told you this is. Oh, he's going through it all now.
Oh boy.
All right, so he's updated his will. Now what?
What other property matters might you attend to at this moment?
Mount Vernon.
These trees aren't going to chop themselves.
These trees, I need to chop one last tree.
Okay, so the patient dies between 10 p.m. and 12 a.m. on December 14th. He was conscious until a few minutes before the end, and, most importantly, one of his last acts was to take his own pulse. Now, let the moment rest.
Yes. Yep.
Dramatic pause. So,
I wonder what he felt with no blood.
so I have a question, because I want to know if you are thinking what I'm thinking the moment I read that last line, because that's the last line of the clinician's notes. So, one of his last acts was to take his own pulse. What comes to mind when you hear that? And I'll tell you what I think.
I don't know. I don't know.
So for me, what I think is, considering the man and what he did in his life, right, and who he is, and probably somewhat of a control freak, he's just experienced half of his blood being let, all these different procedures not working, being poisoned. I think he's starting to try to take matters into his own hands. I'm not sure he trusts his doctors anymore at this point. I mean, one of the last things he does is to take his own pulse. To me, that's a man taking charge of his own health in the last moments. Now, I could be completely wrong. Obviously, nobody will ever know. But when I think of the scenario, he's now gone through 12 hours with his doctor. More doctors are coming in. He's not feeling any better. He's probably thinking, I got this, guys. None of this is working. So that's just my input. Obviously, there's no evidence to support that. But you can't go through what he's going through and not think at some point these people don't know what they're doing.
I know. Yeah, especially at that point. But you're so late in the game. You've lost so much, and you've also taken in so much.
Yeah.
So taking in toxic waste and let out everything that you need to fight infection, your blood.
Yep.
Oh man. So that's it. So what was his final words?
So it doesn't actually have any final words, which is really kind of sad.
I know that Matt knows.
Oh.
'Tis well.
'Tis well. There you have it. And that was, and he's gone. Oh my gosh.
I think
God help us.
Let it go as it came was one of his last phrases, which I said to Frank could make him really nice. Quite frankly.
One last convulsion.
Ooh.
One last convulsion. That's the nerves. That's the nerves. Give it. Oh, he looks so peaceful right now. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Well, thank you. So that was fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for all of your service.
I'm dead now.
I know.
So
I'm dead now.
Would you like to continue to lie there while I just read quickly through the differential and we can
I
get?
will lie here.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Dead.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, Sinenchi trachealis is the actual clinical diagnosis. So I'll read you this from that same paper. Controversy has arisen as to the accuracy of the diagnosis, and from time to time, many attempts to clarify it have been made. Literally translated, Sinenchi means the strangling of a dog.
Oh.
Sinenchi trachealis would literally mean a dog strangled by the trachea.
Wow.
Which, it must be admitted, is a rather indefinite pathological classification. In the nomenclature accepted at the time in the edicts of the Edinburgh School of Medicine, they were widely accepted throughout the English-speaking world, and in it, Sinenchi trachealis was considered a variety of quinsy, which is an inflammation of the glottis, the larynx, or an upper part of the trachea. So with this definition in mind, the diagnosis made by the attending physicians, although vague, were no doubt accurate. However, there were other diagnoses that were potentials, but even, cancer, pneumonia, tuberculosis, but none of these really fit.
No. It came on too fast. Oh, he's trying. Oh man, it's just sad. We
need to keep our composure here.
I know, it's very serious.
Yes. So this is the last paragraph here. The therapeutic procedures employed were orthodox treatments at the time. So this is where I want to branch off after this, if we can hold ourselves together. And they followed the teachings of the great Edinburgh School, from which the two attending physicians had been graduated. The bloodletting, for which the doctors had been so bitterly criticized, and which alarmed Mrs. Washington. So she was not happy with this.
Martha was very upset,
Yes.
I have to imagine.
But this was expressly advised for Sinenchi trachealis. And the repetition of the procedure was recommended as the most effective means for combating the progress of disease, but again, with no evidence. In light of the present-day practice, which introduces blood into the patient to increase his resistance instead of withdrawing it, one may almost say that the bleeding may have hastened the end.
One may say losing half your blood.
And a tracheotomy might have been performed, and there has been criticism of Dr. Craik for not advocating it.
Right.
The operation, however, and this is really interesting, did not have the endorsement of leading physicians at the time, and in fact, most of them were opposed to it. And an even greater scandal would have arisen had it been performed with the same fatal result. And by the way, Dr. Brown and Dr. Dick both received $40 for killing George Washington, which translates to about $1,000 in today's money.
Well, I was just thinking, so it's a... So you're talking about tracheotomy. They were considering that, but they thought that would be too extreme.
Yes.
They thought that giving him a little bit of an opening to get around the sore throat that had been completely walled in, that was too extreme. But of course, taking half of his blood and shooting him up with mercuries.
So I talked to Jen about this, and we sort of at the end both determined that this probably was acute epiglottitis, which is just an inflammation of the epiglottis caused by a severe bacterial infection. Now, she also agreed, the tracheotomy might have helped him breathe, but remember, you're talking 1799, so who knows how long he would have survived. He could have developed worsening infection from the wound, but I think you're right. Let's poison him, let all his blood, but don't do that tracheotomy. But that's only because, Frank, those extreme measures were the orthodox treatment, and the tracheotomy was not, even though that may have saved his life.
I love how George Washington keeps peeking to see if anybody's looking at him. Anyway, well, listen, this was fantastic. Now we can expand on it. We'll take a... We're gonna take a break and intermission soon, so it'd be great to have our panel, our third panelist back in his seat at that point. But man, Jay, there's a lot to be said. There's a lot to be said about how far we've come and how far how it's just really, it's not. Yeah, there's a lot of medicinal and equipment and resources. There's differences between then and now. But there's also a lot of striking similarities in approach and just very anal ways in doing things.
Mm-hmm. I would say that medicine has progressed obviously to the point where we can't even conceive of the things that we could survive today could never have been conceived of 200 years ago.
Right.
But human nature hasn't changed. And so the human practice of medicine is what I want to talk about, because I think that's pretty important given where we're going in the coming years.
Right. It is. It really is. Okay, that's where we'll stop then. Thank you so much. Jay, what a wonderful breakdown. It's okay that we didn't do it on the 14th, but now on December 14th, we'll always be able to remember what happened.
Yes, exactly. I think it's really cool.
This is beyond, me as a little boy, learning about George Washington's demise. He wasn't that old. He caught a cold one day. I'm thinking he's out working in the fields or something, and which obviously is semi-true. Mm-hmm. He was doing his thing, but I'm thinking, oh man, it's just pneumonia, and they didn't have antibiotics, and it was 1799. I would have to imagine the smallest fraction of 1% of Americans have actually read what you just read to us right now.
Yeah.
And the fact that is all real, and it came right from the pen of the doctors, the physicians who were working on him, it's incredible.
Yeah, and don't forget Tobias Lear, his faithful secretary.
Yes, and
minute by minute notes.
He was very, very faithful. All right, listen, ladies and gentlemen.
Did you know that George Washington had no kids, by the way?
I know.
I did not know that. That actually was the first thing that surprised me when I read the case report. I did not know that.
George, are you there? Do you have any comment as to why no kids during life?
And Martha had kids after with another man.
George? Nothing. Nothing.
He truly is dead.
Yeah. Well, so then was he infertile? Was he
I don't know. And Martha, she outlived both husbands and all of her children. And she was actually sort of, I would call her the OG health nut. She was like a real health nut.
Really?
I went down a rabbit hole as I was researching this, and I found I couldn't take too long to do it because I had to stay focused on task. But apparently Martha Washington was a huge health advocate, and she outlived just about everybody in her family.
See, somebody in the chat room said that Martha was barren, but if she had children after George...
No, she had children, yeah.
So then no, that's not the case. But she outlived them.
Yes.
So they didn't last that long.
I guess not.
Nobody did back then. You see, Jay, okay. Here's what I'll say before we go. I'll ask you before we go. you think of the way that we lived, a lot more connected to the earth, a lot more connected to nature back then, but we were deficient in a lot of in science and scientific discovery that we have today. Usually, one of the things that a physician these days who are very pro-vaccine, pro all that stuff, pro big pharma, they will say that when you how did we do things years ago or whatever? They'll say, well, before vaccines, the life expectancy was very short. Before pharmaceuticals, something like this is going to knock you out. Now, in an emergencies, I would never. I would consider a litany of therapies in an emergency situation. Like if I had pneumonia, I'm going to take antibiotics. If it's bacterial pneumonia or whatever the hell it is. But when you think about when you think about, oh yes, he's back.
He's rejoined the conversation.
He's back, yes. When you think about this going on back then, where were we most lacking? That was it in pharmaceuticals, or was it just in health, in how the body works, or nutrition, I should say? Where were we most It's almost like what I was asking you about. If I was sending you back into time, into ancient Europe somewhere, what would you start doing to fortify yourself, to build triage at home, knowing what you know in modern day, going into hundreds and hundreds of years ago? What do you think would have worked out the best for George Washington's time?
Yeah. See, I mean, Frank, I think we've just swung the pendulum too far in the opposite direction, right? People often accuse me of being anti-modernity. Like I don't want anything to do with pharmaceuticals or anything to do with surgery, but that's not true. But what's happened is we now believe that we have conquered nature, conquered biology, conquered the human body, when we still don't even fully understand the human body.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, while once upon a time we may have died due to the elements or a wild animal attack, or in this case, an acute trauma, I would say, can't we just embrace the beauty of human ingenuity and discovery, but not lose the things that still connected us to nature? If we actually did that, and that's what I advocate for, I believe if we did that, we could actually see the human lifespan far outlast what it is now. I'm not saying we would be immortal, but I believe truly that the human body is designed to last much longer than it does now.
Right.
So I think that humility is the word I always use, because we've lost that. We have become so in love with our ability to innovate that we believe that we're now above nature, and we're never going to be above nature. So I feel like there needs to be a happy medium, and that pendulum needs to swing back. And I think the last 3 years of the COVID madness has taught us that pendulum is beginning to swing back, and people who are watching your show and people like me are advocating for that. And I think that's where we're going to find the sweet spot, and I think where we'll reclaim some of our lost longevity, and not just lifespan, but health span.
Absolutely. I'm with you on that one. And ladies and gentlemen, this is where we're going to bounce off for the intermission. Come and join us. The links, they're free. Everything is free. There's no paywall, but we're going on over to our lovely cozy home on quitefrankly.tv or pilled.net. Both links are there. Both take you directly to the show, where all you have to do is press play. And I really again appreciate my buddies Matt at Pilled and the whole crew over there for creating such a lovely home for quitefrankly.tv and the network. And I love independent media, and the fact that we've been able to be in on this ride along with everything else that's going on right now in the parallel economy for news and information and entertainment, it makes me very, very happy inside. So I hope you join us and come on over. And I will be reading your super chats, your Rumble rants, and everything else that has come in so far. And we'll take some calls because Jay's here. And I'm sure that there's a little bit of improvising to do. And everybody always has a lot of really interesting nutritional questions to ask Jay, scientific questions to ask Jay when he's in. So, hey, we got another hour, and I hope you join us. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere except here.
The rest of the show is available exclusively at pilled.net. Follow the link in the description of the episode, get signed up, it's that easy. Or head on over to quitefrankly.tv, just press play. No paywalls, no censorship, no strings attached. So head on over, quitefrankly.tv, powered by Foxhole, and pilled.net.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out to press the like button. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to intermission.
We'll be right back.